Yes, they met. Yes, that was against William's wishes, but there was no sense that I'm getting that Charles laid out the red carpet for Harry.
Picture this. Prince Harry flying across the Atlantic, dressing sharp for tea at Clarence's house, probably rehearsing speeches in the mirror, only to leave with nothing but a weak cup of tea and a bruised ego. That's the scene the world can't stop laughing at right now. This was hyped as Harry's big reunion with King Charles, the first father-son sit-down in over a year. People expected deep talks, maybe even the beginning of healing, but what they got was a glorified coffee break.
These two images from Meghan's mole side by side show why Harry looked so miserable on leaving Clarence's house.
Multiple outlets claim the so-called Peace Summit lasted less than 55 minutes total, and insiders are whispering the real conversation barely stretched past 20. Can you imagine? By the time the biscuits hit the table, Harry was already back on his feet, red-faced, and storming out. The memes? Savage. Social media is in flames with captions like, "Harry came for the crown, but left with crumbs." Others are mocking him for needing a royal lifeline, but walking away with nothing but tabloid headlines. Brutal doesn't even begin to cover it.
But ever since he hooked up with Meghan, he has spectacularly lost his popularity. He seems to be obsessed with getting it back.
And here's where it gets even uglier. Apparently, Harry showed up with a laundry list of demands, titles, security support, all the things he claimed to have given up when he turned his back on the monarchy. But King Charles, he wasn't having it. No deal, no handshakes, just a swift dismissal that has the internet saying Harry walked in as a prince and walked out looking like a punchline. This was supposed to be his comeback moment, his chance to prove he still mattered at the royal table. Instead, it's another PR disaster. One that has even his supporters quietly asking if Harry is running out of moves for good.
This meeting actually went for a much shorter period than what the rest of the mainstream media is reporting.
So here's the burning question. Did King Charles just slam the door on Harry's last chance at reconciliation? Or did Harry foolishly walk himself straight into a royal trap? Either way, those 55 minutes are now being called one of the most awkward encounters in royal history. Forget the image of a warm family tea. Insiders described Clarence's house that day as if it had turned into a Cold War bunker. Security locked down the gates, cameras mysteriously shut off.
Harry, who ended up apologizing to the king, not the other way round.
And staff shuffled through the halls like ghosts who knew a bombshell was about to drop. The air was thick with tension, not comfort. And then the numbers hit. The entire meeting was just 55 minutes long, barely enough time for a soap opera episode. But here's the kicker.
I'll tell you the real reason. It's all a PR stunt.
Sources claim Harry and Charles only spent about 20 of those minutes alone together. The rest? Endless protocols, stiff security checks, and Harry awkwardly twiddling his thumbs while courtiers whispered in corners. Some online compared it to waiting in line at the DMV, but with fancier wallpaper. Ouch.
The feud between William and Harry is as bitter as ever.
But the real twist? Queen Camilla. Yes, she slid into that room and instantly flipped the vibe. For Harry, who's taken more than a few public shots at her over the years, this was like expecting a father-son talk, and instead finding your least favorite boss running the entire meeting. Imagine walking in hoping for a heartfelt family moment, only to realize you're sitting across from the woman you've practically branded as your villain. No wonder whispers say Harry left looking tight-lipped and frustrated.
William at one point within 7 miles of his brother, so near and yet so far, refusing to see him.
This wasn't tea. This was a staged showdown, one where Harry came looking for sympathy and instead got served cold reality with a Camilla-sized side dish. Commentators were quick to pounce on the irony. Harry may have walked in expecting a warm father-son heart-to-heart, but what he actually got was the royal power couple tag team edition. Charles and Camilla side by side, staring him down like a board of directors.
They know that once King William is King William, that they're done, that they're completely cut off.
And the strangest part? No official palace statement, no polite photo op of a smiling exit, nothing, just cold silence. That silence screamed louder than words and made the whole event look shady. If this meeting was truly about healing, why did it feel more like a failed business deal that ended before dessert? And that's when the whispers really started heating up, because according to insiders, Harry didn't stroll into Clarence's house for tea and small talk. He came loaded with demands. An agenda thicker than a royal history book. Forget Earl Grey and biscuits. This was negotiation time.
Yes, they met, but King Charles gave Harry the cold shoulder with no special treatment.
And the rumored list left even seasoned royal reporters clutching their pearls. First on the table, cold hard cash. Reports claim Harry floated the idea of financial backing, which immediately triggered online mockery. People joked it was less like a reconciliation meeting and more like a desperate Shark Tank pitch, except the investor was his father, the King of England. Brutal.
I mean, him and Meghan had this really flash new PR team over in LA who were trying to make all these meetings happen.
Then came the most explosive request of all, titles. That's right, Harry allegedly pressed for royal recognition not just for himself, but for his family too. Social media went into overdrive, split down the middle. Some argued he was bravely fighting for his wife and kids. Others said he was shamelessly begging for prestige he'd already walked away from. Either way, the internet had no mercy, roasting him for trying to play both victim and prince in the same breath. Others online were quick to joke that Harry's reunion sounded less about crowns and more about clout.
This is the sort of meeting that the king does with strangers. It's not the meeting he does with loved ones.
Buried inside that rumored agenda was not just titles and financial help, but also demands for boosted security and even coverage for his spiraling legal bills. If that's true, then Harry basically showed up with a shopping cart full of royal favors, rattling it straight into Clarence's house like it was a family supermarket run. Commentators described the energy as urgent, pushy, and anything but humble, like crashing a family dinner and demanding Wi-Fi passwords, car keys, and a stack of cash before dessert is even served. The internet wasted no time roasting him. One viral post compared Harry's list to a kid asking Santa for every single toy in the catalog.
She was the villain. She was the third person in the marriage. She needed to rehabilitate her image.
And then acting shocked when the sleigh came back empty. Brutal doesn't even begin to cover it. But here's where things flipped. King Charles's response. Reports say Harry poured out his wish list, and the king met him with an icy chill that could have frozen Buckingham Palace's fountains on the spot. Witnesses described Charles's tone as calm, measured, and totally unyielding. No yelling, no dramatic scene, just that deadly kind of silence, the kind a teacher uses when they catch you cheating and don't even bother to raise their voice. It wasn't anger, it was dismissal.
This man, I think, will be asking Dad for a little bit more money very, very quickly. I only see bad things on the horizon.
And beneath it all, insiders whispered one simple truth. This wasn't about money, titles, or security anymore. It was about trust. And when it comes to Prince Harry, the palace has made it clear there isn't any left. Public opinion framed King Charles's response as the ultimate royal note, cold, official, and devastating, delivered without him even lifting a finger. Insiders say Charles leaned heavily on protocol, not personal emotion. Translation? He didn't give Harry the satisfaction of an argument. No raised voice, no dramatic showdown. Just pure, stone-cold monarchy mode. The kind of ice that cuts deeper than any outburst. Online, people joked it felt like Harry was trying to return a broken item at a store, only to hear, "Sorry, no refunds, no exchanges. Policy is policy." And with Queen Camilla seated firmly at the table, the refusal became bulletproof.
Harry is really, really deep in trouble at the moment, even financially. I mean, we know that Meghan's Jam failed to sell out. Her season 2 of her cooking show was an absolute disaster.
Commentators argued that Charles wasn't acting as a dad in his living room. He was channeling his inner CEO in a high-stakes boardroom. Memes erupted instantly. Charles was painted as a granite wall, solid and unshakable, while Harry was mocked as the guy desperately bouncing a tennis ball against it, hoping for cracks that never came. The imagery stuck because it summed up the vibe perfectly. Harry begging for leverage, Charles giving him nothing but stone silence. But here's where the drama spiked. Harry's reaction. Witnesses say he didn't leave with dignity, he left with speed. When the so-called talk ended, the real spectacle began outside Clarence's house. Onlookers described Harry storming out with a walk that screamed, "Meeting adjourned." No waves to the cameras, no polite smiles, no trace of warmth. Just a tight-lipped exit that told the world everything they needed to know. The father-son bond was nowhere in sight.
The list is ridiculous. Once Meghan treated as an HRH, that's the most realistic on the list where you can go, I can see these two having the audacity to say that people need to bow and curtsy to Prince Harry's wife.
Harry's farewell wasn't warm, it was cold and abrupt. More like a fire drill than a heartfelt family reunion. No waves, no lingering glance, just a quick march out the door that screamed defeat. And the internet pounced instantly. Memes spread like wildfire, with one viral jab comparing his exit to leaving a group project after doing all the work but still getting zero credit. Savage. The timing only made things worse. 55 minutes total, less than 20 minutes of real father-son talk, and Harry leaving without so much as a doggy bag of royal leftovers. Online wits dubbed it the shortest royal comeback tour in history, and that nickname stuck fast. Even the photographs became a battlefield of perception. King Charles was later pictured looking calm, polished, regal, the very image of control.
And it's all about trust. There is no trust when it comes to Prince Harry.
Meanwhile, Harry was caught on camera with what many described as a frustrated glare, jaw tight, eyes sharp, like a man who just lost a family argument in front of the neighbors. Commentators summed it up with brutal precision. Charles looked like a king, Harry looked like a sulking son at a barbecue gone wrong. But here's where the story really took off. The fallout didn't end at Clarence House. The second Harry stepped away empty-handed, the media spin machine went into overdrive. Public conversations turned brutal, framing Harry not as a victim, but as a man who flew across the ocean, begged for favors, and walked away with nothing but humiliation. The palace stayed silent, but the press wasted no time spinning their story. Within hours, headlines across the globe tried to frame Harry's tea at Clarence House as a reunion, some even going as far as to call it a step toward reconciliation. But the public wasn't buying it for a second.
His meeting with the king, I agree. I think that it was a symbolic gesture to say, hey, I'm back in with the royal family, public. Don't take me for a fool. But no one's falling for it.
Online reactions shredded the glossy coverage with sarcasm so sharp it cut deeper than any tabloid headline. One viral comment nailed the mood. If that was reconciliation, then my last awkward Zoom call was basically a peace treaty. Another jab that blew up online compared Harry's 55-minute royalty to a dentist appointment. Except, as one user joked, at least the dentist gives you a free toothbrush on the way out. And then came the magician comparisons. Clarence House's eerie silence became the butt of 1,000 memes, with people calling it the royal equivalent of a disappearing act. Poof! The meeting happened, but nobody knows what actually came out of it. To the crowd watching online, this wasn't reconciliation, it was theater. A staged performance that ended without a single real moment to show for it. And the fact that the palace refused to add even one official word only made the whole thing look more suspicious, like something was being hidden behind the velvet curtains.
But he's been on this huge charm offensive. Here I am, this charity, I like a great guy. Oh, look at me sword fighting with this kid. It's classic sort of royal visit stuff.
Royal commentators wasted no time framing King Charles's icy silence as a masterclass in PR strategy. By saying nothing at all, he let Harry's rushed exit speak volumes. Critics argued that the lack of any palace statement left Harry looking completely isolated, while Charles's calm composure only reinforced the image of a monarch in total control. And that's where the real battle lines were drawn. The press scrambling to spin the tea as positive progress, while social media unleashed an avalanche of memes and roasts that turned Harry into the punchline of his own headlines. But the backlash didn't just stick to Harry. It spread like wildfire onto Meghan and their entire brand. Because when Harry walked out empty-handed, the ripple hit far more than just one prince. It splashed directly onto Meghan's carefully built media empire.
Tom Sykes of the Daily Beast said, was that a settlement meeting? Does Prince Harry want to see his dad to say, what can I get out of you before I lose the opportunity?
Industry chatter quickly pointed out the obvious. Giants like Netflix and Spotify only care about one thing: access. Without those Golden Palace connections, the Sussex storyline risks going stale. Public opinion spelled it out in savage terms. No palace, no plot. The internet had a field day with that idea. One viral meme mocked their content deals as being about as exciting as a reality show with zero drama. It's like Survivor, but everyone just politely shares coconuts. Ouch. And with Harry's credibility sinking, Meghan suddenly faces enormous pressure to keep the spotlight burning. Commentators whispered that the only way to keep their empire afloat might be through carefully staged interviews, dramatic leaks, or the next big headline-grabbing stunt. Because without a fresh dose of royal controversy, critics say the Sussexes could be looking at their most dangerous enemy yet: irrelevance. Commentators couldn't ignore the brand risk hanging over Harry and Meghan. Every denied request, every frosty royal encounter makes it harder for the Sussexes to package themselves as insiders with exclusive access. Without that royal shine, their story suddenly looks flatter, with fewer twists to keep audiences hooked. And public reaction shows people are already restless, wondering if the drama is running dry.
He's trying to get back in with the king because he knows he'll never be able to get back in with William. That's never going to happen. So once that door is closed and unfortunately the king passes, I don't think there's any chance of him getting back into the fold.
The brutal truth? This wasn't just about family politics. It was about business. While King Charles doubled down on protecting his image, Harry's hasty exit looked less like a private disagreement and more like a devastating setback for the Sussex brand itself. Online, people framed it as a clear warning. When the monarchy closes its doors, the Sussexes lose their biggest selling point. And here's the harshest part. This tea wasn't about biscuits or small talk. It was about power, image, and survival. Palace insiders say the Clarence House meeting showed exactly how the monarchy plays its long game. Silence, tradition, and icy optics over emotion. Charles didn't need fiery words to cut Harry down. He didn't have to rant or argue. His refusal, his composure, and his sheer lack of concessions spoke louder than any headline could.
I understand why Prince William has no desire to have a relationship with his brother. His brother brings nothing but negativity and potentially the end of the monarchy.
Public opinion turned that silence into a weapon. Commentators noted that Harry isn't just clashing with his father anymore. He's clashing with the full weight of an ancient institution that knows how to win without ever lifting its voice. And that's what makes this whole debacle sting the most. Charles looked timeless, steady, untouchable. Harry looked like the outsider he swore he'd never become. Commentators compared the whole Clarence House showdown to a high-stakes chess match. Harry came in moving fast, asking for titles, money, and security all at once. But Charles barely shifted a piece. Like a grandmaster, he sat still, calm, and yet every move Harry made led him deeper into a trap. One viral post summed it up perfectly. You can't out-drama an institution that's been rehearsing drama for centuries. For Harry, the stakes here stretch way beyond one awkward cup of tea. Without royal backing, every new move risks looking desperate. A scramble for relics of the past instead of steps toward a solid future. Public conversations are already branding him as hapless, needy, and constantly searching for validation. Each request denied, each cold shoulder, makes his brand weaker in the court of opinion.
This is a man who pines on about how unsafe he feels and how he needs the British taxpayer to pay for his security, but is very happy to reveal about his 25 Taliban killings in his book that he got a book deal for, and then very happy to jet over to Ukraine. So this is a man who clearly doesn't care about his safety. It's just about his victim complex.
Meanwhile, Charles continues to project steady authority, doubling down on his image as monarch first, father second, and that's why this meeting matters so much. It wasn't just a 55-minute tea break, it was the crown quietly reminding Harry and the world exactly who controls the narrative. But here's the part almost nobody's talking about: legacy. Royal commentators insist that moments like this don't just dominate headlines for a week, they stick to a person's story for decades. Years from now, documentaries won't obsess over which biscuits were served at Clarence House. They'll remember the optics: a king sitting steady and a son walking out empty-handed. That image, burned into public memory, could define Harry's royal story more than any tell-all book or Netflix deal ever could. While King Charles stood firm, public opinion is already hard at work shaping the story into something bigger than a simple family tea. Some voices online lean toward sympathy, painting Harry as the underdog desperately fighting for recognition in a system designed to keep him out. But just as many, if not more, are branding him as the royal who walked away from power and now can't win back what he abandoned. One viral post captured the mood perfectly. History won't remember the 55 minutes, it'll remember the empty exit. And that line cut deep. For Charles, the optics were almost too perfect. A monarch prioritizing duty over drama, protocol over pleading. His silence played like strength, reinforcing his image as the steady hand steering the crown. For Harry, though, critics warn this risks becoming yet another chapter in a long saga of disappointment. Each meeting he leaves empty-handed, each demand that gets denied, chips away at whatever leverage he thought he had left. Because legacy isn't built overnight. It's built moment by moment, image by image. And this moment may end up defining more than either side bargained for. The sight of Harry walking out, shoulders tight, face stern, with nothing to show but rejection, could become the scene replayed for decades in documentaries and royal retrospectives. And if this is how the story looks now, imagine the weight it'll carry when the next storm inevitably hits. One thing is certain: Harry walked into Clarence House with high hopes, a full wish list, maybe even a plan for reconciliation. But he walked out stamped with history's cold reminder of who really controls the royal game. 55 minutes later, Prince Harry walked out with nothing. No promises, no progress, not even a carefully polished palace statement to soften the blow. Meanwhile, King Charles carried on with business as usual, calm and composed, the very picture of authority. And the optics? Brutal. On one side, Charles appeared steady and unshaken, the embodiment of a monarch in control. On the other, Harry looked cornered, frustrated, and more isolated than ever before. That's why the question has exploded across headlines and social media alike. Is Harry really fighting for family? Or is he battling against an institution so powerful he can't possibly win? The silence of the palace only makes the sting sharper, because sometimes the loudest rejection is the one delivered without a single word. But here's the twist. This tea table drama is only part of the story. Because while Harry's struggling to get even a crumb of royal support, Meghan's name has already bounced back into the spotlight, and her father's recent words? They're not just whispers. They're detonations that could rock the entire Sussex brand to its core. Commentators warn the storm brewing across the pond might make this Clarence House disaster look tame in comparison. If you missed our explosive breakdown on Meghan and her father's shocking statements, you need to check it out right now. Trust me, it's one video you don't want to skip. This is T-Torch in the next chapter. It's only getting messier, so make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss what's coming next.